Hello, 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 hello. Welcome to Sunday Live at 5 with me, Nadine Mendez, with Amazing Journey Realty, where we are committed and driven for your success. Now, driven is an acronym, and we will learn more about that later. But right now, we're going to get right into the topic. And this week, we will be speaking on house renovations that can hurt or harm you years later. So before we get into it, I'm going to ask that you subscribe, like, share this content with anyone you know who might benefit from this and other episodes that we have done for your benefit, as well as to build awareness for your success. All right, so let's get to it. How are you, by the way? How are you all doing? I hope you are doing well. I hope you had a wonderful week. Um, we know, one second, I'm trying to get as much things dealt with at the same time. So let's get to it. I am going to be speaking. I mean, most of you, for those homeowners, this video is geared for homeowners. Okay, so essentially, we know some have just purchased homes, others have been living in their homes for many years, and they are either in the process of doing some projects to renovate, to change the configuration of their home to suit their specific need, or perhaps the intention is to put your house in order for sale. So we know, typically preparations are required to get you on the market. Now, there are instances where individuals may choose to do it themselves. And doing it yourselves, there's actually nothing wrong with that. However, there are caveats that can cause problems and cost you far more than you could ever imagine. And therefore, with that said, we I want to highlight just some common mistakes that we can make in doing renovations, whether ourselves or we may contract someone who might not necessarily be certified to get it done for you. Now, first and foremost, one must realize that whenever you do any form of renovation, it is best to seek guidance and support from the local authority, because indeed there are some renovations that require what is called a building permit, where an inspector will come in and ensure that you have done the installation or the extension, or whatever it is that your intention is done up to the city code. All right. So the first thing that needs to be done is to have a compliance checklist. And this list will ensure that you meet all legal and safety rules. So without it, you can face legal issues, and you may need permits or plans or approvals before you start any projects. So it's very important to check with your local authority before you start any project. It doesn't hurt to ask, right? It's best if they say, I'm sorry, no, you're good to go with this specific small project, than to do it yourself based on what you're seeing on YouTube or any other social media, or you just feel that I can do it. I'm a jack or Jill of all trades, so I can do it. So we have to be careful. Now, some of these types of renovations that we need to that may trigger a permit, depending on your jurisdiction, whatever town or state in which you live, they differ. And so, for example, I am in New Jersey, and within New Jersey, each township may have a different rule. Some might be more strict than others as it relates to certain installations, and therefore it's important to not take it for granted that your family member who lives in another township could do something without a permit, but then for your township, the permit might be required. So bear those in mind. And a few types of renovations that would typically trigger permits would be an installation of a deck, fence, or perhaps a wheelchair ramp, because these could trigger or violate the town's rule as it relates to setbacks. So each property has a prescribed space within which they can build. All right. So yes, that property might belong to you, but there's a specific area within which you can add or do anything in particular. And then for fencing, you could also be encroaching on your neighbor's property, right? So we have to be careful, or there might be a specific height that the township requires. So be careful when you're going to be doing any of these, right? And so for a wheelchair ramp, for example, those may have to go all the way out to the street, to the curb, right? And therefore, you definitely need some permit in order to do that. And it could require a variance. Again, the contractor with whom you would work with, or perhaps the town official could guide you in that regard. Now, if you're going to be getting a new bathroom or a new kitchen or maybe flooring, yes, those could trigger permits, likely trigger permits, and therefore it's good to check with your local authority. Now, electrical plumbing, or sorry, electrical, when installing electrical or plumbing could also trigger, no, likely would trigger the requirement for permits, all right? And therefore, we can't take for granted that because we have gone to electrical school or we're an electrical technician, it means that we should do these projects on our own. A subpar installation can lead to fire hazards, flooding, you name it, and then it could cost you far more later than if you had just gone through the normal process. Yes, it may take a little longer. Yes, it may require documentations and inspections at each level, but it pays off in the long run to just do it correctly. Okay. Another thing that I've noticed that in my practice, I've seen it on a few occasions actually, that houses are listed, say it says 4 bedrooms, when in fact one of those bedrooms are in the basement. And we're talking a real basement where there's no exit, right? And with that said, it's not a legal bedroom if it's in the basement, for example. And therefore, one has to be careful, or they may say 3 bathrooms, but then when one checks it out, you only have, well, there you only have permits for 2 bathrooms. The one that you've installed in the basement, it turns out you didn't get a permit for that. So one has to be very careful when you're transforming spaces that are not typically living spaces, such as the garage or basement or an attic, into living space. Okay, so what might work for you when you're ready to pass it on to others, particularly when you're selling, it can cause tremendous headache for you. It can cost you the sale as well as it can cause fines. And that's the main thing that I would inform you about, that what could come, and we'll talk about it that shortly. All right, so another thing could be the installation of heating or HVAC system, and the list goes on. There's quite a number of things that could trigger permits, and again, it depends on your jurisdiction. So it's helpful to consistently ask your township. Now, again, a quick one to remind you, if you find the information that is being provided now helpful or useful for yourself or someone you know, do not hesitate to share, like, subscribe, comment, and share again with others. Okay? Thank you for all that you have done so far, for all the followers, for all the comments, the feedback received so far. I appreciate those, and yeah, keep it going. So let's go back to the importance of permits. Now, permits ensure that you have safe workmanship. There are some townships that require for certain installation that you must have a certified person to come in and make that installation. All right, and it's really for your safety. Some may allow for the installation and they will have the guided code that you must follow. All right, now permits also mitigates costly mistakes. We spoke about it earlier. Fire, flood for faulty installation or an HVAC installation, a water heater or a furnace. We have to be careful what we do because they may not necessarily align with the town's codes and therefore lead to major problems for you, which likely will cause you not to you will not be able to claim insurance should that insurance policy or insurance provider realize that you did not install these items properly. So be careful. All right. Now, the permits, it protects homeowners from fines. You have your permit, you have that written approval stating that you did X or Y, you installed a bathroom, you did whatever, it protects you. If it is that you were to install a bathroom some 10 years ago without the permission of that specific township and there's no record, and 10 years later you wish to sell that home and it's discovered, you may end up having fines dating back 10 years. So it is definitely critical that we do something, again, depending on your jurisdiction and the length of time that you have been in violation for any of these, or for the lack of permit, rather. Now, we spoke briefly about that earlier too, that the lack of permit or not having permits can cost you a sale. Say you didn't know, or you purchased a property that, or you inherited a property where your fathers or grandparents had done the work themselves. However, you inherited this property, you're not aware that some of the things that were done did not get permit. Um, you're selling that property and realize upon inspection, because one needs to know that a part of the selling process, you must get from your township within your jurisdiction, you must get what is called a certificate of continued occupancy. Now, having a certificate of continued occupancy means, therefore, that the township will have to have an inspector come in and check all these different issues or installations. Some could be based on the fact that they're out of code. I mean, because we are evolving where it comes down to building properties for our protection. There's some electronical items that could have been installed based on the old system, and now you may have to update them. So you may have done it the right way, but still may have to update them. Or you did it yourself and it turns out it was faulty, and therefore it may cause delay in the sale of your home, it may cause the loss of that sale, and then loss of income in that regard, and loss of time. So again, very important that we take on these essentials when we are considering um, renovating a home. Nothing is wrong. It's fun, right? To renovate a property, particularly those DIY projects, right? There are little DIY projects that you can do, and it's fine. Just make sure that you're within code and you're compliant. All right. So skirting the responsibility is actually undervaluing your own safety, risking the loss of your prized asset, and opening doors for unnecessary fines. So, with that said, I just want to, I hope this is helpful for you. I know a number of you have reached out at some point with questions. If it is that you have actually installed something without knowledge, because it's natural, we do things, it's our home, we're excited, we, make some changes. Um, it's best to still reach out to your township at some point to see, what are the necessary steps that you could take to regularize what you have already done. And more often than not, they can be a little more lenient with you than ignoring it completely. So, again, with that said, I wish you all the best with your renovations. Wish you all the best as you prepare to sell your home. Reach out to me if you have any questions. It doesn't matter where you are in the United States. If I can't get it done directly for you, I can get someone to assist you, a qualified person to assist you in that regard. If you're in New Jersey, reach out to me or my office anytime, and we will be happy to help you to sell your home successfully. Preparation for sale can take months. Okay, and therefore it's helpful if you intend to sell your house soon within this year to start looking at some of these things. All right, so I think that's really it for this evening. Again, like, subscribe, share, and the necessary as you see it fit for others to benefit from this exercise or from this episode, sorry. So before leaving, I typically do a quick motivation or something that can uplift us a little, right? And therefore, I will be sharing a quote from Reverend Dr. Martin. Um, and this essentially says, but it says Martin Luther. I believe it's the same Martin Luther King. I hope it is. I'm going to double check, right? But I'm going to double check, but I'll still read this for you. It says, "He who believes in God must work and watch, yet never be careful or anxious, but commit all to Him and live in serene tranquility with a quiet, and I'm going to add, and grateful heart." So, with that said, everyone, I wish you a safe, wonderful, fruitful, and an amazing week. I'll see you next week. Take care until. Bye.